I first started playing guitar when I was 6 years old. I got a guitar for Christmas. My parents had been begging them for one. And from there, everything just started to unfold. I just became obsessed and started teaching myself. And that was the beginning of it. The name of the band was Speed Limit, which is brilliant, of course. You know, we just got together in my buddy's basement, play things loud and fast, and total innocence and total beginning of collaborating with other people. At Berklee, the music world totally expanded for me because everyone, no matter what your major is, you have to go through a certain level of fundamental skills and fundamental theory and all these things that were new to me and really mind-blowing. The thing that really spoke to me was Impressionism music, meaning the composers like Debussy and Ravel and really specifically Stravinsky. I also took a class about film music. And that was the time where I just shifted all my energy and all my classes to pursue, instead of being a professional musician, I wanted to study to be a film composer. I ended up spending a good 10 to 12, 13 years finding work and developing skill set, developing, what I could offer either filmmakers, other composers, producers, whoever would hire me for something, whether it's composition, whether it's, being a guitar player. I would produce a lot of guitar on other people's music. I did a lot of music for ads, which really honed in my skills on producing music with musicians under tight pressure and a lot of variety of musical styles. Eventually, it led me to my first real big project, The Hatfields and McCoys, which was a mini-series I co-scored with another composer named John Demney for the History Channel. So for the past 5 years or so, I've been heavily involved in television series, starting with a show called BLOODLINE. Also co-scored with a friend, Edward Rogers, for Netflix. I did a series for Disney Junior called Elena of Avalor. Totally opposite, it was a children's animation show. And most recently, I did a project called Reacher for Amazon Prime. Bloodlines, the approach for that was a very subtle tension, but the wrong notes or too many notes would be not welcome in that score because it just really, really worked as more of an atmosphere, textural, and vibey. Total polar opposite of like Elena of Avalor, which was a very traditional sounding Disney animation score infused with Latin culture and Latin sounds, leading to Reacher, which was my most recent project. We've got this crime mystery thriller, but the music, I want it to be very staid, very stylized, and not just this kind of big action score. You become a problem solver as a composer. You become someone who collaborates with the producers and whoever's calling you to work. So the vision for the album Vigilantis was to take this ambient post-rock genre and give it a cinematic twist, starting with the orchestration, the band, if you will. I wanted to put together a rock band that would be surrounded also with a string orchestra or other cinematic elements to it. I wanted to see if I could replace one of those main elements with something you wouldn't expect to hear to give this thing a new touch, a new flavor, a new interest. And the answer ended up being the cello. Cello became the main hook of this ensemble, really replaced guitar in that what the guitar would normally do. I had guitar doing things that you might hear a cello doing, or you might hear other sustained instruments doing, so just kind of reverse roles when it comes to the rock ensemble. Surrounding that, I wrote for a string orchestra, which we incorporated and specifically was driving this thing towards a cinematic world. A nice scope to where we could cover a lot of genres with this album, whether it's fantasy or some sort of dystopian world. There's some emotional points to the album. There's some aggressive, fast, powerful moments that could also cover a wide variety of things. I tried to cover many bases to where you could take a track and handle a few different scenarios with it just by tilting whatever it comes against. For example, the piece Dreamscape. It's this beautiful, kind of flowing, very melodic piece. It could be interpreted as a sad track, depending on the footage. It could be interpreted as a romantic track, possibly. One of the first challenges I faced making Vigilantis was making my own briefs, because I'm so used to working to picture or I'm so used to working with the storyline that's been given to me, and I collaborate with filmmakers. So for this, it was new territory, and honing in on what that was took a little time and a little discipline to stick to. And once we decided, okay, this is gonna be this post-rock genre cinematic twist thing, the next challenge was, what does that mean as far as like the rock ensemble and the orchestra? And I started to finally find my way when I committed to making some of the things I mentioned, where I swapped out guitar for cello, experimented a lot with sound combinations to try to find what was the right sound combinations that would blend together. You know, does using a metal chair as a bit of a hi-hat sound blended with an actual hi-hat sound give this an interesting look that I'm after, and does it just sound like some weird things working together or not working together? So through experimentation and through, you know, having some time to work on this, I ended up finally, you know, finding my way with it and becoming creatively inspired by channeling some of these ideas. So a challenge with the cello and getting the cello sound right for Vigilantis was finding that way to make the cello sound like a guitar, not necessarily like a cello, which is a very beautiful instrument. This is more of a gritty score, and the cello being a part of the core of it needed to also be gritty. And so eventually I stumbled on that sound, which was a combination of equalization, distortion, compression, you know, producing this thing to give it an interesting and new look. I think I have two favorite tracks on Vigilantis. The first would be Cost of Time. And I think Cost of Time really embodies this power trio sound that I was going for, where the cello would replace the guitar in that sort of context. Secondly, I'd say Tweaker's my other favorite track. Tweaker is the cinematic approach that has the Nashville strings on it. It also has the cello and the rock band behind it, and it's just got a really great, momentous driving force that it ends with that really I'm happy with.